everyone, and welcome to James Talk Sport. The season begins this weekend with the men's and women's Omloop at Nieuwsblad, and then Kuna Brussels Kuna. This is where the season begins, so I thought I'd do a quick preview today, because tomorrow we're travelling out to Belgium to have some fun in the with beer and everything going on. So we'll start with the women's Omloop at Nieuwsblad. The route itself is going to be 122.9 kilometers. It is, and it's going to take in majority of the climbs the same as the men. You've got the Paddestrad, you've got the Molenberg, you've got Hagehoek, Bernard Rees and things like that. Then it heads over to the Muir and the Bosberg before finishing in Ninov. Most of the cobbles are in the middle of the race, but obviously you got the long run into the Muir. We all know what the Muir is like. They've got one lap of the Hagehoek, whereas obviously we know the men have three. And yeah, it's shaping up to be a good little race. Let's take a quick look at the start list now, and I'll tip who I think will be up there. So the defending champion, Christina Sigard, she'll be a threat yet again. I think the wind will play a decisive role, just like last year. If it's a headwind, you won't have any solo move. But if there's not, then you might see a small group go away just before. From a Bulls Dolman's point of view, they'll have Anna van der Breggen, and the most likely candidate to win will be Chantal Black. Canyon Schramm have the Barnes sisters, and you can never write off Cassia Niliadoma. Those, Alice Barnes, Hannah Barnes are probably the two big picks. Sarah Roy and Amonique van Vleuten, although she's just coming back from the broken leg at the World, so she won't claims she won't feature, but we all know how feisty she is. Trek Segafredo have Andre Carden-Ragot or Lotte Lepisto, who is probably one of the top favourites. Sunweb, they have a couple as well, I'll get onto in a minute. But yeah, Movistar have a couple of decent riders. One of the Spanish girls will probably go well. But I think the top favourites are from Sunweb. I think if it comes down to a sprint, not many people will outsprint Corin Rivera, the American who won Flanders 2 years ago, I think it was. So, yeah. But I think the top favourite is Lucinda Brand. She had a fantastic cyclocross winter. Unfortunately, didn't quite happen for her at the World Championships, but everything else fell into place. She had a very, very good season. She did. So I fancy Lucinda Brand. I don't think it'll be a solo win. I think it'll be a reduced bunch sprint, or depending on the wind, a big group sprint. But I think she is one to watch out for, definitely. So that's Saturday, and the other race on Saturday is the 200k men's elite Omloop Het Nieuwsblad. Started in Murrelbeck, so basically Ghent, and ending in the same place. Bit longer this one, obvious, which is controversial, I know, but yeah. So you start off by going over the Hagehoek after a couple, about 30-40k. Then you've got a few of the smaller climbs, back to the Hagehoek, Padstrad, and then you sort of wind your way over to the Muir again. You've got 3 laps of the Hagehoek, which is where we'll be watching it. Again, just like the women's race, if there's wind, I don't expect the any of the cobbles to really play into effect until the Muir and Bosberg. the Mur is this mythical climb that everyone seems to love in cycling, so I firmly expect that to be the showdown. Um, let's check the start list. There's going to be a lot of names, but I'm going to say the names and then find out who I think is going to win. So, Dimension Data obviously have the defending champion in Michael Volgren, but they've also got Bosenhagen, who is in very good form, and Julian Vermont getting a little bit of freedom after leaving Quickstep last year as well. De Koenig Quickstep have probably three. I think it'll be Yves Lampart and Stibar's turn to lead the team. Fancy Stibar actually quite a bit for the race tomorrow on Saturday. Florence Seneschal will do well. Gilbert, he's probably going to aim for Delonda and Roubaix, so I think he'll play a team role. The interesting one will be Bob Jungles. Won Liège last year, and then decided this winter that he wants to try the cobbles. He's normally pretty good at most things he turns his hand to, so don't be surprised to see him top 15. Lotto Soudal, Tish Benu is going to be a top favourite. Strada last year, he was one of the strongest, if tactically a little bit wrong, at Omloop last year, going out into the headwind on his own. Another one from that team could be Tim Wellens. If it comes down to the Muir or the Bosberg, he showed in Andalusia the other day that his punch over the short, steep stuff is very, very good. Egitoire, Dillier, second in Roubaix last year, and Oliver Nason will be the two main riders for them. Nason needs a big performance this year. He needs to get one. Otherwise, he might turn into a bit of a nearly man like Sepp Van Mark. Magnus Cort Nielsen at Astana can never write off, but he needs it to be a headwind, so it comes down to a sprint. Although, given Astana's form this season, who knows? Same with Sonny Colbrelli at Bahrain. He's got a shout at winning. If it comes down to a sprint, he's got a very good sprint. So, we don't know. Without Sagan, Bora will be looking to Daniel Oss, I think. Pascal Ackermann will suit Kuna the day after. CCC, all for Greg Van Avermaet. They've got a good, strong team around him, so should be a big factor. Greg is one of those that always does well at Omloop. He's won it twice. Won it in 2012, I think it was. Sepp Van Mark. He's starting to turn into that sort of nearly man of cycling on the classics. He's finished top 3 in Flanders and Roubaix. But he's still, he's 30 now and he's missing out on a big one. Can he do it this year? I hope so, because I really like the way he rides. Arnold Demar, again, just like Colbrelli, will want it to come down to a sprint. He's got a strong team, though, with especially the addition of Stefan Kung. So, wouldn't write him off, but I don't think he'll feature. Trentin is probably the biggest dark horse out there. Got a strong team around him yet again with Durbridge, who'll be there at the end as well. So could chase it down for the rest. The interesting one is Jurgen Roelands at Movistar. Movistar are a team famous for just flipping a coin and seeing who goes to the race. But Jurgen Roelands is one that can, he's finished third at Flanders in 2013, I think it was. Can do it. He's a very, very strong rider. Lotto Jumbo have a Lotto Jumbo Visma. Sorry, 2 riders probably that can feature in the race at Omloop. Wout van Aert struggled in the cross season. Had a lot of contractual issues at the start of the year, which were obviously of his own making. And I don't particularly feel sorry for that. But after last season, he is a very strong rider. The way he rode Strada Bianchi in particular, the way he took the race to them with Romain Bardet. Now those contractual issues, which will have affected him, even if it is of his own making, it will have affected him. And obviously losing every week to Mathieu van der Poel. He's on his own stomping ground a bit more on the road, so I expect a top 10, maybe even a top 5, depending on how conditions is. The other one is Mike Teunissen, again another former cyclocross rider, improving every year in the classics, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes. From a Brit point of view now, from the two teams with British riders in, Katusha Alpecin have Harry Tanfield, a youngster with a lot of potential, particularly in the time trials. So could he transfer that into the classics? Who knows? Sky, Luke Rowe, we've just found out, is unfortunately ill, so he won't be taken to the start. But they've got Stannard and Van Baal, who will probably be the leaders. But don't write off Owain Dord. He's had a very strong start to the year. Sunweb will be working for Michael Matthews, but Soren Craig Anderson's a better bet for them. So they'll hopefully put their eggs in him. Trek have Jesper Stuyven, who I think is going to become... I think he will potentially win a big one this year. Maybe not the Ronda, maybe not Roubaix, but something like E3. Watch out for him. Yeah, a youngster again, Jasper Philipsen at UAE will be fun to watch. See how his development is going. Corendon Circus don't have Mathieu van der Poel, so they probably won't feature much. They do have Stein de Volder, who obviously won the Ronda in 08 and 09. Nicky Terpstra, after an interesting move to Direct Energie, funnily enough, Topham's using today. New team, new ideas, new racing style. He will be the sole leader, so he will probably be marked out of it. Lars Bohm is always a threat, although he never truly features in it either. So, I guess out of all that list, I've got to try and come up with a winner. I'm going to predict it's going to come down to a group of about 5 riders, and Greg Van Avermaet is going to win. With Stibar and Bosenhagen close in second and third. So on to the final race of the weekend. On the Sunday, you've got Kuurne Brussel Kuurne, which takes in the wonderful Erde Quellemont and a couple of others as well. But it all starts and finishes pretty much on the same straight, so you don't have to, you can sit in a bar like we normally do. So yeah, let's get into the start list and see what we do. It's known as the Sprinters Cobbled Classic. So Dylan Groenewegen will be up there. Ackerman. I'm surprised Viviani's not coming, but Fabio Jakobsen will be up there. Just taking a quick scroll. No one at Sky. No one. Kittle's not there. Damar will feature. Trentin. Colbrelli. This is a race where those two, will be strong favourites. But on the whole, I think normally there's a couple of bits of crosswind, like a couple of years ago when Sagan won, I think it was, and Luke was up there. But I'm going to go for Dylan Groenewegen to retain his title. I do. So, yeah, that is opening weekend preview show done. We have a little bit of travel to do tomorrow, and then we're out in Courtois for our base for the weekend. Yeah, let's really enjoy it. It's the start of the season, so start of the season proper. The other races are good, but the classics are where everyone gets their imagination. So I'm going to predict, who did I say in the women's race? I think Colin Rivera or Lucinda Brand for the women, Van Avermaet for the men's, Omloop, and Groenewegen for Kuna Brussel Kuna. They've got a strong team, so they'll band around him just like they did last year. So there we go. I'll have a good weekend. You guys as well. If you're watching it on the telly, you probably won't see us. But yeah, have a lovely weekend, and I will see you for the review show next week. Bye.